First of all, Chairman and the Board of Directors, Managing Director, actually, and the team. First of all, thank you for this special occasion. Like, it's not to farewell, it's just to invite me just to be part of this special day. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. As you know, rice is part of my life and part of our struggles. Like there's been saying, I mentioned this some years back when we had an audience with the Prime Minister. I said there's a saying in Fijian, said, "Sana manggal yang jadi sama tua rice." It literally means there's going to be no problem when the rice matures. People joke about it, but it's a fact. As I'm told, you can keep rice for 6 or even up to 10 years. It's still good. Whereas for other products, it has a limited life for months. That's why rice is something that the country needs to really take on as something that will take us in the future in terms of food security. Today, I want to thank the farmers, Bula. The farmers who have been very supportive and loyal to Fiji rice. You have made Fiji rice to where it is today. You have, it was through you that we built this. We extended, they put new machines into the mill. We wanted to make sure that the service delivery that was done from here is reflected to the outcomes that you put, the crops. And I'm told that crops are increasing every year, and thank you for that. And a lot of people are doing it. And I know government is looking at ways of improving the services to you through the lease conditions and development through the Commissioner and Ministry of Agriculture. I know it's a challenge, but you must know that in everything we do, if we do it right and we work in partnership, the outcome is always for the farmers. So I know, I remember the last time we had a meeting here with the Prime Minister, one farmer came to thank the Prime Minister for the rice, for giving the opportunity to plant rice, because none in the family got a BA. So I still remember that afternoon up there. So that is what rice brings to us today. And I know that through rice planting, it's something that we will have to survive. And in terms of the changes that we are going through now, climate change, we've been having unexpected weather changes, weather patterns. A few years back, we did not have category 5, but now category 5 is a norm in our area. We've had floods, we've had dry season. So when we look at it from the outside, rice is something that will sustain us during this tough time. And for that, I thank you, and I would encourage you to continue to plant rice. As long as you are in Maguata, you will have to plant rice. Make sure you plant rice. If I come back and nobody plant rice, I'm missing you. Do it for them. The journey has been interesting. The journey has been challenging. I know when we used to have our board meetings, when we had to approach government for assistance, for support, we all know that government has its policies. It has its parameters of assistance. Being a board member, because at times I used to think, because my appointment to the board is to ensure that I have to make sure that everybody, all the families here in Mazuata, in Moa, in Nakondove, in Fiji, has to have food on the table. So at times like that, I tend to breach the protocols where I take my director's hat off and I put my chiefly hat on to fight or to ensure, to convince the powers that be to help the Fiji rice and also copra mills. I think those, of course, that changing of heads has kind of helped in some way. And I know with the support and leadership of the chairman, we have managed to achieve what we had intended, but we have exceeded what we intended to achieve. And I thank you, Chair. Even though there are always some arguments in the board meetings, and sometimes I joke to my fellow directors to say that, it's very hard to talk with bankers, accountants. These are the most difficult people to negotiate with. You have to convince him, trying to persuade him to get to agree to you. And for us at Fiji Rice and Copra Mills, my other fellow directors, former fellow directors, really to convince our chairman to say yes, you really have to come up with good points to convince him, yes, that's right. But we've gone through that, and thank Chairman for your understanding and support. I'm always an honest speaker. At times we've had our head on with the Minister of Agriculture, changing of policies, but I continue to acknowledge the Minister of Agriculture for supporting Fiji rice. And we hope that that the support from the Minister of Agriculture will continue to will come in tenfold in the future. Reason being, because we need to teach our people not to rely on government systems. We need to teach our people for survival. Because the way things are being done, we need to ensure that everybody in the community has a fair share of that development. The journey to the State House, the board, and all the boards that I have been, has been part of my journey. They've taught me so much to be the person that I am, to be a thinker, to be a critical thinker in some time, because I've worked with the best people in the country, and I've got very good people who has advised me along the way. And I know there's a face that sometimes he growls at me as a guy in the red t-shirt, sitting there, Mr. Vinod, who's my accountant. Well, Mr. Vinod, thank you for coming. These are the things that have equipped myself to the journey to the State House. And I know God is calling. God has called me and has anointed me. And I'm so blessed that when reaching my final destination, I've had another, especially, I think they were anointed, gifted people who are there to be supporting me every day. And they're sitting here. My team from the government, from the State House, and my team who has been, it's on a personal level and on a professional level. That way has been, it's been challenging, but it's a journey that I don't know that I will ever forget. Sometimes I get some comments from my team that there is protocol, but sometimes I'm trying to adjust to that because it's who I am. I can be seen sitting down with that fellow. Yeah, grow with them. I can be seen in town. But those are some things that has been part of my journey. The challenge is there. So, now that we are moving forward, the rice industry, and I'm so happy to note the presence of the Itoke Affairs here, the senior officers of the Itoke Affairs. This is an institution, and I hope the team from the Ministry of Agriculture will also acknowledge that you need to work with the Tauke Affairs to ensure that rice farming goes down into the community. I know there's been challenges because one of the biggest things today is land. Because I know they've been going knocking on wrong doors. So that will be the front. They are there to lead, to give advice on the approach with the Commissioner's office. I say this in my capacity in the office that I hold. It's part of my job to ensure that this is done right. But I stand to be correct, but that is how I feel. And I say, I think I'll do it because today, lots of things have changed. Policies come, regulations come and go. But we need to ensure that we have an impact to the people's life, because that's the end of the story. As we go home each day, we have to make sure that a family member puts a plate on the table for them to survive. So everybody in a position in government or in the private sector, that's your job. You have to ensure that that is done. And I know in the next, maybe in the next week, there's going to be a new way forward. Everybody is going to come to the table, you come into one room, discuss, negotiate, and make your way forward. And I'll be going back to Suwa and be watching from there, putting my ears on the ground to see the progress. Difficult times, I think it was. You've got COVID in around, you've got restrictions in place, but I still have that hope that Fiji is going to get back. And it is us, the farmers. You have to plant more rice to feed people in Wiliame and the Pacific. The mill manager, your job is to make sure that the mill is okay so that our products is delivered. And to the government, I continue to seek your support for the industry and to the stakeholders. Let us ensure that we realize what I said in the opening, that when the rice is matured, there's not going to be any problem. So let's use that as a slogan for now being the front for rice. You know, when you have rice on the table, there's life. They said if coconut is for life, well, rice is going to be for life. With those few words, Chairman, Commissioner, Ashley, and members of the board, Corporate Minister, I thank you, Wiliame, and God bless.